Please welcome them to the stage. You want to have a seat there, guys? We're going to get started. How are you two? Are we excited?
Very
excited. Talk about data?
Yeah.
This is the nerd stage, by the way. Like
Definitely.
This is the nerd. We've had such great nerdy stuff happening. Have you guys checked out the hackathon, by the way? And all the people up there doing data?
Let's just a lot of them actually. I mean, I've been mentoring as well. So
have you been mentoring?
Yeah, for sure.
Amazing.
Like I've been up at 9 a.m. and until past midnight.
I did not know that. That's so cool.
Yeah,
if I wasn't down here being exhausted all day, but I have traveled up there and seen what's going on. I love it. I love hackathons. I love watching everybody just like all the brain power. It's amazing. So. Just so you guys know, by day, I'm the head of systems architecture for a transportation incentives platform. So I'm kind of like immersed in behavioral data and transportation data, and we're soon going to be adding the Web3 element to it. Very excited about that. Just basically means I'm swimming in data. So, Arnaud, do you want to introduce yourself, or I can, or you go ahead?
I'll go. So my name is Arnaud Simeray. I'm the head of go-to-market at Dune. We're the leader of on-chain data, so you can access basically close to 100 blockchain on Dune. You can build dashboard. We work with not just builders, but enterprises, government agencies. Basically, if it's on-chain, it's on Dune, and you can access it.
Love it. And Marcos?
Who
are you?
Who am I? Okay, yeah, I'm Marcus, Marcus Miranda. I'm the product manager at Archive, and basically what we are building is a data layer for Web3. So we all know that the data space in Web3 has been really challenging.
Yes.
So basically what we're trying to offer is basically a Web3 native database solution with the Web2 experience. So you don't need to go to Amazon to store your data.
Thank
Instead,
God.
you can actually have a Web3 based solution that can help you out. So we're targeting builders and pretty much, actually I was talking with one of my tech leads. It's like, well, do you need data? Yes. Do you need a database? Yes. So you can use us. That's basically it.
That's amazing. Because that's been the way it has been for years. Is like you don't think about it, you just use AWS. There's these things, these centralized pieces that nobody really thinks about. It could go down. We can get into that. Let's start super simple. So everyone knows where we're coming from. Arnaud, I'll start with you. In 30 seconds, what kind of data do you live in day to day? And who are you trying to help with it?
So we live in about 100 blockchains. So we work in the EVM and non-EVM world, both what would be considered raw data, so your basic transaction, logs, blocks, everything, up to much more complex cross-chain data, bridges, protocol level data. So really all the different layers of what builders can use to build an app, what analysts can look at to define trends or build dashboard, or some of the largest banks of enterprises that also need access to on-chain data.
Amazing. And Marcos, same question.
Okay, well...
Where do you live?
I live in the infrastructure side of data, basically. So if he's actually building the car, we're building the radiator.
I love car analogies. I just have to say that when people talk about like, oh, I don't understand blockchain, I'm like, you also don't understand the combustion engine, but you know how to drive the car.
Exactly.
And they're like, oh, like that's the easiest way to say it. What did you even say?
He's
got
building
the
car.
You're the carburetor. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then me doing, all of the data things. It's like you don't have to understand what's happening. Like my CEO, you don't have to understand it.
It just works.
I got it. I got the data. Amazing. That was exactly what I wanted you to say. I do have to stay on topic or else we'll seriously sit here for like an hour. Although I don't think people would mind. All of our audience. I'm just kidding. Awesome. Okay. So, Marcos, you're literally building a Web3 data layer that feels like Web2 for developers. Where do you see teams falling back into old Web2 habits with their data? Things like private silos, closed dashboards, and what are you trying to fix with Archive?
So, I guess that the main issue is that right now, most builders are facing this like they need to make a decision in the sense of, okay, do I go the Web3 route and I need to face a lot of issues in terms of how do I even set that up?
Right.
How do I make it work in a way that I'm not spending months or even quarters trying to get to that result? And then the convenience that centralized services offer. So basically, the way that we are approaching this problem is like, why can't we have both?
Yep.
In the sense of, what if we are building an infrastructure that feels and behaves as the normal, the traditional database that you would have using a centralized service, but is running on top of a Web3 infrastructure, so you can get all the Web3 guarantees, but you don't even need to know how to interact with blockchain in order to be to use us. Like, if you know TypeScript or you know Python, you can use Archive to store your data, and it feels kind of like a normal database. I mean, current solutions perhaps you don't have query capabilities.
Right.
So you get a hash, and then if you lose that hash, you're done. You cannot retrieve that file again.
Right.
Where with a proper database structure, you can actually query the data, you can sort it, you can index it, you can do a lot of things, and that is actually super helpful for builders that are really conscious about not going the centralized route. And right now, they don't have a choice to make. They need to sacrifice one or the other.
Right.
And we're trying to bring a solution that is kind of like the Hannah Montana, offering the best of both worlds.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what we're trying to build.
It's the best. That's why we get so excited about it, because so many developers and technologists are, they're hesitant to go the route of, okay, now we need to go blockchain and Web3, and what does that all mean, and changing their minds and trying to explain it that it isn't just one thing or the other. There's so many pieces that overlap and that are, back and forth. So again, we could talk about that all the time. Arnaud, from the Dune side, you see a ton of projects who say they're decentralized, but still keep all the interesting stuff in internal dashboards. What's the biggest disconnect you see between we're Web3 and how their analytics is actually stored and shared?
Yeah. So first, there's a little bit of a difference of where you store the data, whether the data is decentralized or centralized, or the project is centralized and decentralized. I think what's more interesting to talk about is that, what we call Web2 team is actually the rest of the world. We are the one that's different, not the other way around. In most of the enterprises today, keeping your data private is the default. And I don't blame that mindset. It's more like they have to now work with a new infrastructure layer, which is based on the public ledger that everybody has access. So now it's more like, how can we give them the tool to understand that you don't have to keep that analytics dashboard because people have access to it.
Yeah.
And that's the biggest, I think, dichotomy in Web3 is the data is public, literally, but it's very hard to understand it. It's very hard to access it actually physically across all those chains.
Yeah.
And that's really what has been at the heart of Dune since 2017, is making blockchain data accessible to anybody in the world. And the way we do that is obviously with a number of tools and a large open data platform. But I think it starts at the heart with the problem that the data is there, but it's impossible to access it.
Yeah.
Right.
So we build a platform, you go on it, you query any chains you want, any protocol data you want, and you can build a dashboard or build an app using that data. But I think we've seen even corporation or banks that have to change their organization. They used to work in quarterly earnings, which is private data, which is you have to wait the earning calls to find out sometimes what's the performance. Now they work in a Bitcoin ETF over investment vehicle, and they're I cannot just wait to release that information to my investors. They can actually find themselves. So we're actually trying to work with them. It's what does this look like from an investor relation perspective?
Because it's a different way to think about it. And you're having to train them to think about it differently. Not to cut you off, but you're just seeing it everywhere in this institutional environment where they're what now?
Yeah, exactly.
What do you have to do?
And the builders too, because this is obviously a little bit more on the B2B side, but for builders, if you are a product manager, for example, you're not really used to share your user metrics, right? You build an iPhone app, you're not going to go and, maybe you share the number of users, it's a vanity metric, but as far as activity, it's not normal as a PM to share what's happening on your app. It's it's in my data. But now you can have a dashboard and share what's happening. And actually, there is I think, a virtuous effect that's happening. People are seeing what's happening on chain or on a specific app. They might want to try it. They want to see what's happening. So it's really a different mindset.
Yeah, and that's what we're doing at Hitch is at this point saying, what can we do with all of this data that we already have, and moving it into a different format. So we're kind of like already in the thick of it. It sounds like you agree, because I was going to say, if you disagree or if there's anything you want, awesome. I like that. We're all on the same page.
I am 100% behind.
I like that.
What Arnaud was saying.
Perfect.
Yeah.
We're all in agreement. It's the Web3 way. Wag me. All right, let's go to the positive things. Not that that wasn't, but if a project is really living its Web3 values with analytics, what does good look like, either in their stack or in their culture?
Wow. Okay. Do I mind if I go first?
Please.
I think that there are like two key elements to that question. On one side, let's tackle the culture one first. I think that, especially in Web3, there is this, I think that there is a lack of, and maybe because I'm a product manager, like it's like lack of, when you are designing something, when you are building something, you are thinking about the end goal, right? But then sometimes people forget about, okay, how do you measure your end goal, right?
Right.
So from the get-go, you have a lot of builders that it's super easy at the beginning in the conception phase to be able to say, yes, this is how we are going to be building this, and this is how we are going to be measuring that. So you can actually bake the measuring into the build, the infrastructure of the product, like the code itself. And that saves a lot of time in the future for two reasons. The first one is like, if you forget about it and you need to re-add it, you are adding work.
Right.
And the other one is like, if you're not measuring from the get-go, you don't know where you're going, right? So we see a lot of projects in the Web3 space that the measuring part of it, it's like left as a second thought or a afterthought. And then what happens is that at the moment of evaluating what's going on, it's like, oh we got 1,000 users. Okay, but how many of them are actually using your app? How many of them are actually transacting?
Just a number.
And then they go, oh yeah, but you can check that on on the blockchain, right? And then if these guys were not actually putting all that infrastructure, so you can actually go and verify for yourself
with the user
interface.
Yeah.
So we are even like on the infra level is like right now, even if you have that, perhaps you have it centralized. So let's say, oh yeah, we have 30% activation rate. Okay, me as a stakeholder, as a token holder, right? Okay, how do I know that you're not lying to me?
Right.
Can I see the database?
Yeah.
And that's what we're offering.
It's incredible.
So you can go and sell verify. It's like exactly it's that like don't trust verify,
it's like
but
what
take
we've
into
been trying to fix. We're fixing it.
Yeah, exactly.
It's fixable.
Yeah. But then again, it's like this convenient thing. So I guess it's cultural, but it's also like just recently, we started having the tools to be able to properly do that. So I think it's our job in the data space to be able to approach builders and say, hey, these are things, like this is the elephant in the room. Nobody's actually talking about it. Let's address it. Let's figure it out from the get-go. Not wait until 2-3 years after to be able to say, oh, sorry, we wasted millions and millions of the treasury trying to build something, and we don't know how it's going because we didn't measure it in the first place.
Yeah. Amazing. Same question?
Yeah, I think you said something interesting about trusting the data.
Yeah.
So I think we don't talk enough about the quality of the data that's on chain. People have amazing metrics, but I think the next step for project is also explain sometimes how this metric is being calculated. You know, we are still in a very new and emerging technology or industry where it's growing very fast. People are throwing tons of numbers that haven't been used for not very long.
Yeah.
And quite often, people are actually calculating differently. So that's why you see a lot of discrepancies coming from the same data, which is ironic. So I think this is another,
Wait, why do you think that is? Like, I mean, obviously it's because the way that the metrics are being calculated, but is there something else you see kind of behind the scenes as to why that's happening with the same data and different output?
Well, first, I think people underestimate the complexity of on-chain data. We deal with, we deal with 100 10 blockchains. There's a lot more, but I think that's a good portion,
Yeah.
let's be honest, of what's happening out there.
Yeah.
We deal with different standard, EVM, within EVM and non-EVM, you have also tons of different standards. You have different coding languages. You have very little, even in EVM sometimes, standards. So I think this is very hard. The people that can understand it, there is a few companies or actual analysts that can have a deep dialogue across all of those environments and understand what's happening. So that's one. Number two, I said it, there is no standards. So when it comes to some of those metrics that are kind of maybe known in industry, no one actually defined it. There is no organization, not even the EF, that says like, this is actually what TVL stand for. This is how it's going to be calculated.
Oh, interesting.
And I think this is just one example, but we should have most standardized metrics and a grade on it. So that way we can compare apple to apple when it comes to two chain, for example.
Is it like consensus?
Could be, yeah.
I like that. I have to make sure we're on time again.
Okay, sure.
I have so many questions and such a great discussion. So let's start with Marcos on this one.
Yeah.
So I work on a platform where data literally decides who gets rewarded to move around a city. So I'm kind of obsessed with metrics, how like it changes behaviors or tracks behaviors. Actually, I'm sorry, this is for Arnaud. You mentioned you'd seen public or open Dune analytics change DAO behavior, especially around growth and incentive programs. Can you share one example where a dashboard or query clearly changed a decision or a set of incentives?
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot. Obviously, you see Dune dashboard almost everywhere, but not just as people on crypto Twitter. You have literally companies that are using Dune and just data publicly as their data center, as a way that like, don't ask us, just go check yourself. So, Mofo just posted two days ago, they have a set of 12 dashboard, everything that's happening on Morpho is there. But more maybe on the behavior side, you have company like Gitcoin, for example, that use Dune data and Dune dashboard to track the different pools and grants. So depending on that, they could adjust potentially the reward that some of the builders are getting. Maker does the same thing. They have a risk analysis dashboard. So if something, there's maybe volatility happening on stage, they can check some of the protocol parameters and adjust it based on that too. So as always, sometimes we are a little bit like data rich and information poor. So I think it's very much in blockchain. We're data rich. We have tons of data everywhere. I think there are a few companies like Maker, Aave, Morpho. I mean, the list is very long, but really are trying to change that and use that data to change potentially the protocol itself automatically, or change, like in the case of Gitcoin, like a grant reward. OP does the same thing, when you do the retro for the 6th version. Same thing that was based on data, and they can allocate more grant towards people that are actually building because they can verify on-chain that the activity is there.
Amazing. We have 3 minutes. So Marcos, from your side, product and database world, what kind of metric or view tends to be the oh damn moment where a team realizes they need to change how they run a program or a product? So like, oh.
Okay, yeah, that's actually quite interesting. So
leave it to me to ask the interesting questions.
So I guess that the first question I would ask myself when it comes to that is like how I'm measuring the return of what I'm doing, right?
Right.
So like you said, there's no extent, like we don't have a proper framework or like a universal standard to say, yeah, this is how you measure ROI, right? So what I've seen recently is like, especially in the DAO space, like some of the teams that he was mentioning, right? I think it's something that happened in I would say, the past year or so, where a lot of teams, they started thinking about data, not data, information, in a way of, perhaps this is not a vitamin, this is probably a painkiller, because we are in this...
Say that again. It's not a vitamin, but a painkiller.
Yeah, it's like, this actually was not a supplement, it's actually helping my knees.
Right.
So, because I need to run, because I want to grow, and then because I don't have that painkiller, I have this, like, I cannot move, right? And then you have teams that are like throwing money at a certain problem, but because they are not thinking about how I am measuring the return of that, it's difficult to actually make informed decisions. So it's pretty much a debate of opinions. So I guess that to answer your question,
It's
is
like
like
one side or the other. Like,
yeah,
which
it's
one
like,
is it?
okay, what is the return that you're expecting? And that can be a lot of things. So perhaps if you are talking with a DeFi protocol, perhaps TVL is not the best metric. You want
Right.
something around how sticky that TVL is actually.
Yeah.
And how you are able to retain that TVL. You are throwing money at a pool. What are the pools they have the best performance in terms of if I shut down the incentive program right now, how much of that TVL, like that recently acquired TVL, will stay there?
Right.
And the results will surprise you. So
Yeah.
you're incentivizing something that is based on a stable coin, poof, liquidity is gone.
Yeah.
Immediately after you finish that incentive program.
Yep.
So I guess that it depends on how
There
you're
needs to be
measuring.
an incentive to continue the incentive.
Yeah.
To continue, it's like
which is
Inception.
basically you're just burning money
Yep.
and not getting any meaningful result.
Right.
So for grants, perhaps the return is completely different. So
Right.
I encourage teams to actually think in these terms.
Yeah.
Like, what is the end goal? And what are basically the metrics or the key results that I'm expecting? Sometimes, especially for instance, if you are incentivizing or you have a grants program that is going into underserved communities, well, that perhaps is a little bit more difficult to measure because the result is not directly impacted on chain. But there are a lot of other things that you can actually measure to see if you are actually moving the needle or not.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
Listen, we're over because I'm in charge, and I just wanted to talk about this, but I want to get on record. Would you guys be willing to do some social media and maybe a podcast, and we could just call it like Data Nerds, and we just sit around and talk, and we get like one audience member?
Let's do it.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, let's do it.
Like
Yeah,
one
I'm-
watcher, I feel like. We could get at least
Yes.
one watcher.
For sure.
Okay, cool.
I'm
Like
down.
you guys are watch, right? Okay.
yeah.
You guys will watch.
Yeah.
All right, we've got 4. So
It's
amazing. Because I feel like this could be such a boring topic, but like we just made it awesome. That
Yeah.
was so good. I love it. I have literally like 7 more questions. So we'll set that up. I don't know. You guys come up with a good, and maybe Dune and Archive could sponsor it.
Why not? We can
you
talk
write that
about
down?
that. I mean, I'm
Someone
not.
write that down.
I'm not the one holding the card. Unfortunately, I'm not the one. But we can definitely have a conversation about.
You could get me a meeting. All right.
Oh, for sure.
All
That's
right.
for sure.
Appreciate you guys so much.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for
I am
having
going
us.
to stand up and welcome the next guest, but everyone give a huge round of applause to my friends Marco and Arnaud.
Thank you so much.
Exit stage left.